We have this very bad habit of when we encounter a new experience, we describe it, and as we describe it, we erase its reality and replace it with a map. And forever after, when we encounter that input, we access the map and overlay over the things and say, "Aha! I know what this is." And so by the time a child is 5 years old, they have completely entered into a symbolic construct which hides the real world from them. That is the great first gateway on the path, to realize the relativity of language and the malleability of the world. Terence McKenna. I began by laying everything out with the rough idea of just placing the sort of image that someone has from going to the dentist just sort of at eye level in front of them, sort of in the background of the actual drawing, the actual experience. And it's supposed to be, whether or not it actually looks less detailed, it's supposed to be less detailed, sort of just sketchy, not as clean, and that should make it obvious that it is supposed to be just the sort of imagined map of the person going to the dentist office. I like this quote because I feel like I can relate to it really well. If I went into an experience, a situation for the first time that is totally different than after I've had that experience several times, the things that you learn from the first experience you take into the next experiences that you have of a similar situation, but in those situations after, you sort of just take from that what you've learned in the first experience, and you just expect things similar, but you don't actually sort of have that new learning coming in because you just act totally differently towards the situation. You're not as alert, or maybe you just, it's different how you interpret the things, or you really don't interpret the things that you see sometimes. I decided that a drawing would be most fitting for the quote that I chose because I can easily draw a representation of the map in someone's mind, and the difference between that map and what they're actually seeing, what the experience is. And I chose a stereotypical example that people usually, have quite different images in their heads when they see dentist's office. When they go into the dentist's office for an appointment, they immediately associate that experience with pain and long appointments and being uncomfortable, and I feel like a drawing could just really easily articulate the difference between that map that they have and the actual experience. I based my drawing off the quote, but the quote is actually on a much greater subject matter, and my drawing perhaps goes into a much more specific aspect of the quote, maybe even warping the meaning of the quote a little. While the quote may focus more on sort of the way that we experience things after the adrenaline and the focus of the first experience, my drawing probably goes more into the stereotypes that we form after the first experience. When I was trying to think of what to draw, what would be a good example of the difference between what someone experiences and the map that they have in their head that they've already created from past experiences, I realized that while some things may not be as explicit in contrast between the map and the actual experience as the dentist's office, that everything from, what we decide to eat to if we decide if we need to go to sleep, to the opinion that we form of someone, to how do we approach a math problem, all of these things are already, sort of, our decisions about them are changed based off of our past experiences.